All right, new machine is here. I will catch back with you guys when we get the gate open and we can see the crate.
Oh, do it. Go. The next one is the vibrate. Do the vibrate one.
All right, Nuova Simonelli Appia Life 1 group is now secured in the back of my truck. And then we're gonna be going over to the coffee trailer today. And then we're gonna show you how to install it and what you need to install this machine. So stay tuned and I'll see you at the trailer. So before we go to the trailer, we have to go to your local hardware store. I'll probably go to Menards. But we want to get that because we're going to put our third wave water. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump that water out, use that as my waste container. And then I have pre-made jugs of distilled water that I've been doing with third wave water. So it's a packet of it. And I just mark it on the top so I know that it's been mixed in well and that it has been mixed, because if you use distilled water in your machine, it's going to ruin it super fast. So good quality water is number one. So we're gonna go get that so we can get that all set up and hooked up when we get our espresso machine all plumbed in. So I will see you when I'm at Menards, and then we'll head over to the trailer. Just pulled up to Menards. We're gonna get the 5-gallon water jug, and then we were going to head to the trailer. So here's the 5-gallon of water. So this is just gonna be $5.98. Just grab one of these and we should be good to go. So I actually had to make a stop at Lowe's because I had to get a circular drill bit to be able to cut a 2.5-inch hole, which is what is required for the Appia. That way you can fit the drain tube, power cord, and everything down. So yeah, got that, and now we will head to the trailer. Assuming these are going to be the porta filters.
Nice and shiny.
Some baskets, a tamper. Got your spouts. So here's everything for the plumbing. You have your drain, and then you have your piece right here to connect your braided water line. All right, so first things first, in order to get this thing all ready, you're just going to remove the drip tray. So just set that off to the side. Next, I'm actually get a smaller screwdriver. So we're just gonna undo these 4 screws. I just moved this out of the way just because it can get in the way. Just remove, just a nice hard piece of plastic. And then if you look in here, just show you, so down here you're gonna have where you're going to be hooking up the water line. And then also you're gonna be seeing that there is a connection that's also gonna be down here too for plumbing in. So this is where your drain's gonna be. So your drain's gonna be right there. So let me get it. So this right here is where your drain tube is gonna go. Some people who install this don't do this step, which it's not it's not needed down here per se, but I definitely don't think I would do it without. Just have to get this untangled here. Should be good. Now I'm just taking my fingers and just making sure it's along the ridges. And we're going to come back down. It's always important to make sure, so if you want to check, it is still level. You want your machine to be level when you do this install. So the feet are in the same spot. And you also want to raise this machine because if you take a look down here really quick, if you want to take a look down here, this piece down here actually is going to hit your countertop if you do not have the feet adjusted correctly. So you want to make sure that's not putting pressure on that because that's where your water inlet goes and you don't want to break anything in there. All right, so that's super tight. So I actually have my setup down here, and this is actually already going to go into here, and then I have my quick disconnect here. So this is already on. So once we get everything, I'll redo all of the tape down here just because this stuff's old. But I'm gonna drill that hole, and then this is just gonna go straight into there, which is I'll explain the whole pump system once we finish with this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and see about the hole, the placement, and then we'll go from there. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna replace or reinstall our plastic piece here. So you just make sure it goes all the way in through the bottom here, and then it just snaps right into place. So that is how you install the braided water line, the drain hose. Now pretty much all it's left to do is attach it to the system we have here. So I can bring you down in here where I can kind of explain what we have going on. So we have our pump. Our pump is then going to go into this accumulator. The accumulator then goes into this 3/8 drain tube, and we do have our shutoff valve. So it is very important that you do have your shutoff valve. So this is going to be the valve that's just going to be open, and then this is going to be closed. In order to get these off, it's super easy. You just push this in and it disconnects like that. So if you ever have to redo your tubing, you just push it in and now they're stuck back together. And then this is going to connect to your braided water line, which we will get to once I drill the hole into the countertop. And then I'll show you how the system works. So it essentially will take all the water here, pump it through into the pump, goes into the accumulator. Think of the accumulator as a big balloon that fills up, that gives constant pressure to the water line and into your espresso machine. And then you're not going to hear that pump kick in. It's not going to be hard on the machine. It's going to fit into this. It's going to go into the machine, and then it's going to drain into another 4-gallon jug down here. So you have your good water, and then you have your gray water, your drain tube. So we're going to go ahead and drill the hole. I'm going to figure out where I want it, and then we'll come back and then we'll show you everything, how it works. We'll pull maybe a couple shots or so, and then yeah, appreciate you guys watching the video, and we're going to get to drilling the hole here in a second when we map it out. All right, so this part, I bought the 2.5-inch Lennox. It's a speed slot circular saw, or saw hole, or whatever they call them. So you want to map out kind of where it's at. So I actually have this piece of paper. So if you want to look at it, it shows the dimensions here. So 21 inches length, and then width you have 16. They say that it's about a 2.5 inches. So they want a 2.5 inch hole because it says countertop drain hole location. So we're gonna go ahead and drill a hole right there. So I have mapped out the hole that I want to do. So obviously half of 16 is 8. So it means the machine's going to stop about here, which the grinder goes here. So that's kind of going to be where we want to go. And the way to figure out if it works is you want to make sure that here, so with this bit being right here, you're going to see that it's still far enough away from the wall. And then it's going to go to about here. So the way I want to map this out, so let's just say we just draw an imaginary line down to here, and then we come down to here. So if I were to have my hand here, you just want to make sure that underneath is going to account for all that, because down here we have to make sure it goes through this cabinet. So if you show them down here, up here is where you want to make sure you're drilling into here and not your refrigerator or whatever you have on this side. So it wants to go in this cabinet. So where we're at now, looks like it's going to come about here, and that's going to be plenty of space, and there is nothing down there to where we're going to hit it. So we're going to go ahead and start the hole. Right.
That was cool.
Well, if you see the hole there, now we have a nice drain hole. Perfect location. It's going to come down pretty nicely. Do not touch this. It's going to be super hot. So we're just going to put this off to the side, and then I am going to go get a vacuum, clean all this up, and then we're going to go ahead and put everything together, connect the machine. Feed that through. On-off switch here. It's very important that you put one of these in. Don't make the same mistake I did on the last one. Then it's just simply going to plug and play connect here. Now the water is going to travel through here and into the espresso machine. So now everything is hooked up. I'm actually going to just route these to where it's kind of out of the way. There will be a plug down here, so I can hook the plug up down here with the cord, or with the plug. But I just don't have any plugs right now, so I do have to undo this and run it up to the outlet for now, but not a big deal. Get the freshwater bucket. We're gonna dump that out just because I have actual water that we're gonna be using. So I pretty much just bought a 4-gallon bucket for the gray water. So I guess you can look at it that way. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this. This is actually the good water. So if you want to follow me outside, just don't trip. Again, this is the third wave water. Before we do that, let's just mix this really good. And then we're just gonna I normally have a funnel, but this works, I guess, just as good. Got smarter that time. If you do mix these, I just recommend that you, because it is just room temperature water and you're adding just powder, I would just put them in there full packet like the directions say with third wave water. And I would recommend them sitting in here for about a week and then just keep shaking them every day. That's just what I do. Otherwise you're gonna get a little bit of clumping and it's not gonna fully dissolve, and that could affect your espresso machine. Okay, so now we just need a drain bucket. So we're gonna go back to the truck. Okay. So that's why you got your handy dandy pocket knife. Actually, I might not even need the snippers.
No.
If you do this, just be very careful because it's probably not the smartest idea possible. So there's the hole. All right, so now that we have all the water out, now, if you want to follow me down here, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna take our tube and just shove it straight in here. All that should be working and good. We have to go hook up the generators, hook it up to the trailer, and then I will have everything running off of power, and then we're gonna go from there. So I will catch you back once the generators are hooked up and we're back in here and we're getting this thing up and running. So same thing. Gonna remove this nut first. And you're gonna remove these two washers. You're gonna make sure not to lose these. I mean, you can really just use any washers, to be honest, but obviously you just wanna not lose what you get. So we're gonna install our ground. Install the two washers. Then you're gonna blindly put the nut back on. When you do it so many times, you just get used to it. Don't tighten it too much, but you want it to be firm. You want it to be snug. It is tight down here, so it is hard to get some of the stuff, but
Red with red.
yep, just gonna do red with red.
Left with black.
This one's always been like super hard.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like to go in super easy, but it does the job. So that way when we do any kind of unplugging or anything, it doesn't blow any of the circuits. So then you have your 50 amp plug. So it's actually a 30 amp going into a 50 amp, but you have to have the 50 amp connection. So if you look over here, you have your 120 volt. So we're just gonna go ahead and connect this. So these are 30 amp machines. But with the converter, the connector here, the parallel link, you can actually use it as 50 amp, which is why we have our 50 amp on the trailer. So now, I'm gonna show you how I connect all of this. So if you wanna come over on this side, you wanna make sure that this is off. So both of these switches are off. You're gonna come over to each one, set it to the choke. Full power, wait a second, take it off eco. Gonna go to your choke. Full power. Once this light comes on, you can take it on eco. So now it's running at full power. Now you're gonna come over here. And this is gonna give power to the machine, or to the trailer. That switch just gave that trailer power. So now we have power from the trailer, or from the generator. So if you want to come in here. So now everything should be hooked up correctly. So we're going to hook the pump in, and then we'll also hook the machine in. Obviously it would look a lot better. We're going to tuck all those away. Like I said, we're going to plug down here, so that's not even going to be noticeable, but that's just, we just want to make sure the unit works. So now what we're going to do is there is a on-off switch down here. So all we're going to do is flip this on, but you want to make sure that the pump is on. So we're going to come down here. We're going to flip the pump on. And flip the machine on. So now you're going to see power is bringing in the water. Just want to make sure that everything is working. It does look like water is going through the braided line. Just want to make sure that there is no leaks. It's obviously filling up the boiler. All the buttons illuminated here. This one is not supposed to be illuminated until you press the button. And then down here you have your pressure gauge. So mine is hooked up to the pressure pump at the bottom into the accumulator. So it's right at about 3 bars for the brew pressure. And then we're sitting right under 1 for steam pressure. So just gonna go ahead and show you everything and pretty much how it works. So how to purge the steam on, you just lift it up. So if you lift that up, you're gonna see the power of it. It's just gonna purge. But if you push it down when you're steaming, so before you steam milk, you wanna purge it, now put it in your pitcher, and then put it down, and it'll be a constant steam. You can see the pressure of that. So if you get up close to it, you can kind of see how good the pressure is. And then purging it. So over here, you have your hot water spout, so I'll press that. You'll get your hot water to come out through here. And then here you just push any kind of button you want. So you push it, and then that's it. All right, so we're actually gonna take the top off and we're gonna take the side panel off just so we can kind of get a closer look of the inside of the machine. So if you look here, there is one screw that's gonna take this top plate off. Just put that screw somewhere where you're not going to lose it. I always just take my screwdriver and just go into this little hole right here, and then it'll just slide right out and in. And then there are side screws right here. So these side screws, you can actually undo this one and this one. You just loosen them. You don't have to actually take them completely out. And then in order to access this panel, you are going to want to have to remove this screw. Actually, we can probably keep that on. So this screw also needs to be taken out here, and that's just going to release this side panel. And then the side panel just comes straight off. So we'll set this off to the side here. And then here you have your boiler. And then here are the two parts to the heating element. We're actually going to follow the same steps to get this side panel off, so I can see this side panel as well. And then now you have access to one of the control panels. Alright, so this is pretty much the machine and how it looks with everything removed from it. We can actually go a step further and remove this side or this front panel. So you got these screws here. They'll just loosen it. They don't have to be removed. And then it just releases from right here, and you can pull down and it'll actually go. So there's actually a little plug here, which is to this power sensor. So we can just set this off to the side. All right, so here is a look at the Appia Life single group. So everything is tore apart. Kind of give you a look at the internals. So braided water line goes here. You have your drain tube here. Your water line. There's actually a little valve right here. You want this facing up to allow water into the machine. If you have to close that off, you turn it to the left, and it'll face sideways, which will cut all water off. And then you have your drain tray here, which will go into your drain tube. If you have to empty your boiler out, you would actually, I think this is a 13mm bolt. So you would remove that bolt. Make sure the machine is depressurized. You would remove this bolt and open this, open this valve. And then it will drain the boiler. On here, like I said, you have all of your mechanisms that lead to your main boiler here. And then here's your main group. And then a top view of the boiler. So yeah, this is a look at the Appia Life broken down.